Hello, I thought I would show you what the state of the art looks like with generative AI, in particular what is out there with open source models like Stable Diffusion and Controlled Net. These are efforts put forth by Hugging Face and Stability AI. And what I've done is I've downloaded these two models, which amounts to about 20 gigabytes of data, and I'm running them on my own computer. So this is something anybody could do right this minute. Build your own custom application like I've done here. I'm just locally hosting it on my computer. And what I can do is I can prompt this AI model to produce any image that I want. So I'll type portrait, and right away I get a portrait. By the way, I will never get this image ever again. So if I wanted to save it, I could hit export. And that image doesn't exist anywhere. But what does exist is all of the data and information that went into making it possible for this to be generated. So hair texture, eye shapes, skin tone, lighting, facial profiles. I can hit render again, and it's going to generate something completely novel again. I can also take whatever it renders and push it over into my image prompter, which is what this is for. And I can change the prompt and say watercolor. And then it'll generate a watercolor painting based on this as a prompt. So it follows the lines, the contours, and changes the coloration of it. I could get more clever with it. I could say Magic the Gathering hero with helmet, and I'll give it some more creative freedom by pushing the slider. Maybe I'll increase the render quality a bit. Fantasy. Right, and so you can essentially really fiddle around with this and come up with some really interesting generations. But of course the question is, who owns this, right? Who made this painting? Who made that? Who made this watercolor rendition? And the answer, of course, is thousands of creators made all of this. But all of their work has been composited and subsumed into a 10 gigabyte file that has all this information not stored as images like this, because that would result in terabytes and terabytes of data. It's stored pixel information relative to its meaning, and that's the result of what we call training in the world of AI. But really, as I've come to understand it, it's more of a kind of storage, but in abstracted form, and it allows you to store an enormous amount of potential information without actually having to store the information itself. And so you have to prompt it, you have to mine it to extract from it meaningful data. Now, because I've downloaded the models on my local computer, this thing is, I have complete access to the entire thing. You know, like for example, or in the early days of ChatGPT's image generation tools, I would do something like Sonic the Hedgehog. And actually, if I were to search Sonic the Hedgehog, it wouldn't allow me. And so I had to be a little bit more clever about it, and I'd say something like hero based on a hedgehog. And because the words hero and hedgehog are associated with Sonic the Hedgehog, this is surprising actually, I would get something that looked exactly like Sonic the Hedgehog. Now in recent years, they've changed that. They've sort of created a self-censorship mechanism that prevents you from being able to extract information from it that resembles a well-known IP. But it's only well-known IP that is ultimately being shielded from people being able to reproduce it. Now here I have access to the entire training set, so I could really search anything. Nude portraiture. And these are the kinds of things that are completely censored, but the censorship is really on the surface. All this stuff actually is functioning and is there inside the system. It has everything. It has all the information that it gathered from the web. They didn't really discriminate. In other words, they just said, go out there, grab images, take all of the search engine optimization data associated with those images, subsume those words, associate those words with whatever is in the image, and store it in this network, this neural network. Take this over here, turn it into a watercolor painting. Right, and it's quite beautiful. I mean, what it's doing is really amazing and impressive. And to have this running on my computer, I tell you, it feels very, very surreal and almost like too much power to have, honestly. And it puts me as a visual artist in this really weird mental space. I don't quite understand really what to make of this. I object to the idea of this work being capitalized on. So number one, I admire that these research companies released all this stuff for free and allowing other people to use it for free, like I'm doing right here, for their own research projects. But there are several companies who are taking this, like I could right now, for instance, now that I've sort of gotten a handle on how to work with this data, I could deploy my own tool. What you're seeing here, I could deploy it online and let people pay a subscription fee and prompt their way through any sort of generation they want. And if I kept it uncensored, I'd probably do pretty well, because most of the things out there censor the material. But of course, then you run into a lot of legal entanglements with potential harm that could come from what people generate, right? And you have no idea what people are going to make with this stuff, what kinds of images they're going to produce with it. And so, anyway, I wanted to just give you a sense for where this technology is at. It's wild, it's scary, it's unprecedented, and I'm not exactly sure what to make of it, what to do with it, really. Here, I'll show you what I like to do with it, actually. I have these, I like doing these ink drawings. I go on these walks, and I like using pen and ink and doing just nature drawings. And I find it just so much fun to just stick them in this app and turn it into a watercolor painting and see my drawing sort of come to life in full color. I like it when I just make it very similar to the sketch, so it honors the line work as closely as possible, and it's loads of fun. Watercolor painting of a tree. But can I use this? Now currently I can legally use it, right? The rules right now are saying that I can use this commercially even if I want. If I want to up-res this and print it and put it on a postcard and sell it, yep, nothing's stopping me. Legally, nothing's stopping me. But ethically, there is something stopping me, because I'm capitalizing on the, I think, unethical capture of the work that has been produced by countless artists. And it's one of the main reasons why I'm trying to essentially develop my own version of this right now, trained entirely from the ground up, because the power of being able to take a drawing and color it like this is amazing. And there's no that in and of itself is not unethical, but the way in which these tools are developed isn't necessarily unethical, but to use it commercially would be, in my opinion. So if you look at one of my previous videos, you'll see one of the things I was able to do by looking at tree textures. And I'm starting simple, just with textural stuff, because it's easier to achieve contextual consistency when dealing with things that are really up close. But when you zoom out, it's harder to train the model that retains coherence, and that's something I'm still trying to figure out. But notice how it's picking up on every single little branch and interpreting it correctly as a branch. Even that little knot there with that thing that looks like an eye, it's capturing that really nicely there. It's just really amazing, and it blows my mind, really. But again, all this stuff you can do yourself. You can download the models, you can build an app. It requires a little bit of comfort with Python and the command prompt and a few things, but most AIs out there will guide you through the entire process. So as long as you're patient with it, you can actually produce something just like this. What I'm going to do with this? Nothing really. I mean, it's fun to explore. Think of this as like when you're researching a project and you're looking at Google Images for inspiration, like sci-fi landscape, you know? You can get inspiration for new concepts. But I'm already hearing from people in the film industry that aren't even really using it for inspiration. They're using it as the concept art itself. And so it seems that the industry is making a decision already, which is to just use this as is and not even bother with going further with it. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. But I would encourage every artist out there to familiarize themselves with AI technology and try to leverage it in any way they can, without selling your soul. And that's currently what I'm trying to do, is see if I can figure out how to build something like this entirely from the ground up, built on my own assets. So if you are interested in that journey, subscribe to my channel. Take a look at my previous wood texture implementation. It's gotten much better since then, and I have yet to post a new video of that, and I hope to do that soon. So hope you found this interesting. Thanks for watching.